Nigeria on edge as Dangote NUPENG talks still. One chance suspect lynched in Abuja as attacks persist. Katsina couple's captivity drags on as time runs out. On the foreign scene, Burkina Faso scraps visa fees for Africans. Hello and welcome to News Hour. I am Mimana Bagudu. Now we begin with national matters. A tense meeting is ongoing at the Department of State Services headquarters in Abuja, where the management of Dangote Refinery and leaders of NUPENG are facing off. The outcome will determine whether Nigerians should brace for fresh fuel supply distributions in the coming days and weeks. The report.
The DSS convened the talks after NUPENG accused Dangote Refinery of breaching a peace deal on workers' rights. The session, which began at 3 p.m. Friday, also had representatives of Nigerian Labour Congress and other stakeholders in attendance. This development comes just days after NUPENG suspended a 2-day strike that had already caused disruption in fuel distribution across the country. Adding to the tension, Dangote Refinery announced it will begin direct distribution of premium motor spirit from Monday, September 15th, with a gantry price of 820 naira per litre. Pump price are expected to settle around 841 naira per litre in Lagos and the Southwest, and 851 naira in Abuja, Rivers, Delta, Edo, and Kwara states. But NUPENG, in a statement signed by its president, Williams Operiha, and General Secretary Ofalabi Olawale, accused the refinery of reneging on its commitments. The union warned it could resume its suspended strike if the breach is not addressed, raising fears of renewed shortages.
In a significant move, the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, says the free petrol distribution announced by the Dangote Refinery is a Greek gift. A Greek gift is a present given with a hidden intention to harm the recipient. Now, on Thursday, the refinery said the free direct supply
the DSS
will commence in 11 states. In a statement on Friday signed by Williams Akporeha, NUPENG's president, and Afolabi Olawale, NUPENG's General Secretary. The association alleged that the refinery is attempting to edge out other employers of petroleum truck drivers. NUPENG also alleged that there are other operational and administrative workers of Dangote Refinery and petrochemical company who the management has been preventing and obstructing their rights to belong to the union. The group urged Nigerians not to support a work arrangement in which drivers and other workers in Dangote Group will be denied the right to enjoy freedom of association and unionization. And now we are joined by the national president of NUPENG, Billy Gilly Harris, via Zoom.
I'm sorry, I'm not president of NUPENG. I'm national president of Petro.
Thank you so much for that correction, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then let's move straight ahead. And now, this clash between NUPENG and Dangote is now at the DSS office. Is this fight mainly about workers' unions' rights, or is it really about who controls fuel supply in Nigeria?
Well, clearly, one thing leads to another. The fact that as a company is refusing to follow what the norm is, I wanted to start a process that is completely against the system, shows that there is an intention that is completely different. So it's beyond unionization. I think it's beyond market control, and we need to all be very, very wary about it.
All right, then, there's a statement by NUPENG, and it called Dangote's free petrol a Greek gift. Now, do you think it's a real effort to help Nigerians, or a trick to push out, competitors and stop workers from joining unions?
Well, I do not think that there's anything more to say, except that there is an agreement entered into by NUPENG and the Dangote Group, and I believe that that should be respected and the terms of the agreement should be followed to the letter so that we can all have a fair market, a fair entry and exit process, and ensure that the energy system in Nigeria is consistently safe.
All right, that will be all with our conversation tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Now, moving on, 3 suspected one-chance syndicates narrowly escaped being lynched by some mob who descended heavily on them at Chicken Junction in Wuse 2 in the FCT on Friday. Now, witness Raymond Jonathan said the incident happened when the 3 suspects inside an unmarked taxi attempted to dispose a female passenger of her belongings inside the car. Now, he said immediately the victim boarded a vehicle around the Chicken Junction. One of the suspects tried to force her to submit her phone after they threatened her to reveal her bank account secret code. He said it was on the process the victim raised an alarm, which he said attracted the attention of some passerby around the junction, who first flagged down the vehicle and dragged them out of the car. Now, according to him, the mob immediately started descending on the suspects after the victim had narrated the incident to some passerby. Now, Jonathan said some police operatives later arrived at the scene on Hilux van and forcefully took away the suspects from the hands of the mob and zoomed off. Reacting, the spokesperson of the FCT Police Command, SP Ade Josephine, confirmed the incident. She said the police operatives on arriving at the scene promptly rescued and rushed the victims, who were still alive, to the National Hospital for medical treatment. And now we are joined by Zoom. We have a human rights lawyer in person of Mutiu Akisanya. Thank you for joining us this evening. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
All right, let's dive right in. Now, what does this one-chance case in Wuse 2 show about security in Abuja, and what more can the police do to stop, such crimes before they happen?
I think what is important is that our law enforcement agents, particularly the must begin to adopt modern technology. And they must also have more men on ground that will be able to detect these criminals and the entire country. So that will ensure that the police is always able to respond quickly, stress. What we have seen in the past, it's difficult for the police to respond quickly to these distress calls.
All right, then, when it comes to, crimes like this, let's just use this particular one that happened. Now, people almost beat up the suspect to death. Before the police was able to, arrive at the venue. Now, how do we handle people's anger at crime without encouraging mob justice? Because this is becoming, normal.
I think it becomes very important to sensitize citizens. And of course, it's the Nigerian police that will have to do sensitization by citizens the confidence that when criminals are arrested, they will not just be kept behind bars, but they will go through a process of being tried, and where they are found to be guilty, that they will be convicted and they will face the wrath of the law. I think over the years, most citizens have lost confidence in the law enforcement agents, and that is why you find out that most citizens will want to take the laws into their hands. But what we must all know is that the law is for a presumption of innocence, and the law does not allow anybody to resort to self-help or to take laws into their hands. Jungle justice or mob justice, as we know it, itself is a crime. And so what citizens must always do is that when they find criminals, or when criminals are arrested by citizens, citizens must ensure that they quickly hand over those criminals to the law enforcement agents, particularly the police, and not to take laws into their hands. Citizens must also understand that their evidence will also be able to also help the police to quickly conclude the investigation and ensure that those who are found wanting are charged to court and that they are convicted. And perhaps if they are convicted, the institutions that will take them may also ensure that they are reformed so that they become a plus society and not troublemakers.
Thank you so much, Mutiu Akinsoya, human rights lawyer, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
You're welcome. All right, let's move on. The fate of Anas Ahmed, his wife Halima, and their daughter Jidda, who were abducted 16 days ago at Canada quarters in Katsina Metropolis, remains uncertain. Now, initially, the bandits demanded 600 million naira, but later reduced it to 50 million naira for the couple's release. From Katsina Trust TV's Abdullahi Yamadi reports that since the ransom slash, efforts to rescue the victims have remained unproductive. Let's take a look.
Family sources say the bandits last threatened to kill the couple if the 50 million naira ransom is not paid within 2 weeks. That deadline expires this Friday. As the clock ticks down, relatives say they are still struggling to raise the money. Since the abduction 16 days ago, we have been trying to meet the bandits' demands. But because of the economic hardship, it has been very difficult. Still, we believe everything is in the hands of Almighty God. Life and death are under His control. The most disturbing part of the ordeal is Halima's health. She was abducted while 9 months pregnant and due to deliver at any moment. At the moment, her expected delivery date has already passed. Doctors had warned earlier that her case required close monitoring and advised a cesarean section as the safest option. They revealed her previous child was also delivered through C-section, making natural birth highly risky.
Halima's situation is dire. Her due date has passed and doctors have warned that she can't go into labor outside a hospital. Surgery is her only safe option. We're praying fervently for her recovery, trusting in Almighty Allah to guide the medical team and save her life.
Family members add that Halima and her 2-year-old daughter Jidda have been very sick since their abduction, with no access to proper medical care and reportedly relying only on herbs. Halima's situation now hangs in the balance between the trauma of captivity, life-threatening pregnancy complications, and the absence of urgent medical attention. Every second counts, and the family fears that time is quickly running out. Abdullahi Yamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
We move to Katsina State now, where Governor Dikko Umarurada has succumbed to pressure calling for immediate negotiation with bandits terrorizing farming communities in Katsina State. Now, this is coming after years of resistance, which triggered debate on whether to seal a peace deal with the hoodlums or not. Rada, who at different times distanced his administration from ongoing negotiation with bandits in the state, however, said that the peace deal has restored peace in 4 frontline local governments. Trust TV's Abdullahi Yamadi tells us more.
In what appears like a mysterious turn of events, Governor Radda rescinds his earlier decision to have a truce with the bandits. He described the peace deal sealed between the communities of Jibia and Bazari local governments and the bandits as genuine and sincere. The Chief Security Officer of Katsina State re-echoed that the affected communities have been enjoying peace for the past 6 months following the peace deal. However, since his assuming office as governor in May 2023, Dikko Radda has maintained his stance, distancing his administration from initiating any peace deal with the hoodlums terrorizing the state. Look, I'm not saying we will not negotiate with bandits, but what I'm saying is we will not request for peace deal with them. However, if on their own they see the wisdom to do so, we can find a way to sit with them and find a solution to the problem. In his latest public appearance during the unveiling of the 18-month European Union-funded project, Conflict Prevention, Crisis Response and Resilience, Governor Radda said negotiations between government and bandits is ongoing in 2 additional LGAs in Katsina State.
I can assure you that due to this locally led community peace initiative, we are able to resolve crisis in 4 of our frontline local governments out of the 8 that we already have, and negotiation is going on 2 additional frontline local governments.
Governor Radda admitted that the locally peace initiative has been able to resolve crises in 4 frontline local governments, assuring that the government is ready for a genuine and uniform negotiation with the bandits. Many stakeholders are wondering what would have informed Governor Radda's decision to change the direction of his administration. I know that the peace deal is working in some local governments, but don't forget, it is the same bandits that have sealed peace deal that are attacking farming communities in other local government areas.
I believe Malambashi and some part of Puntua zone will not be included, because there is some, the leaders of bandits in that zone, they did a negotiation when Masari was governor, and they agreed. Now they have changed their mind. They went to bush again, they carry arms again, and start disturbing people again. So I don't know what to say, but quite sure I will advise governor to take this thing seriously.
It is a gross injustice if government resolved to chart a peace deal with bandits after terrorizing thousands of farming communities, killings, destructions and displacement of families. Left to us, we don't want negotiations with bandits. The government should fight the hoodlums first. The question in the minds of most of Katsina residents is, where does the government stand on issues regarding fight against banditry? Unfolding issues regarding insecurity in Katsina State may likely provide an answer to this question in the coming days. Abdullahi Izuma Yamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
2 travelers, Zachary Benjamin and Samaila, have sustained gunshot injuries when bandits opened fire on the commercial vehicle in which they were traveling on Tegina-Kwatangora Road in Niger State. The bandits reportedly fired shots targeting the driver for refusing to stop. The shot, according to sources, hit Zachary Benjamin and Samaila sitting in the front passenger seat. Now, local sources said the incident happened at Tudunfulani along Kwatangora Tegina Road when the driver of the vehicle maneuvered and zoomed off, leading to the hoodlums firing at the vehicle. The spokesperson for the Niger State Police Command, SP Wasiu Abiodun, confirmed the attack on the commercial vehicle. He said the police tactical teams and other security agencies mobilized to the scene while the hoodlums escaped to the forest. Similarly, bandits also reportedly invaded Uzange and Matachibo in Masuga district of Kotangura local government area on Thursday around 12 midnight and kidnapped 3 people from the 2 villages. Now, residents of Kotangura, Mariga and Magama local government area said that bandits have renewed attacks on their communities in the last 2 weeks. Residents of Kekebi community in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State are calling for government intervention after a low-flying helicopter reportedly destroyed homes and caused panic on Wednesday morning. The incident, which occurred between 8 a.m. and 12 noon, left several houses damaged, fences collapsed, and residents in shock. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more.
The unexpected incident created fear and confusion among residents who were left devastated by the damage caused by the helicopter's wind force.
Naji iska yayi yawa, ina daki a kwance, ina fitowa sai. I ran out to call my mother's brother for help. By the time I returned, the fence of our house has already collapsed. Honestly, we are in a very difficult situation now, and we want the government to assist us cover the damage caused by the helicopter. The fence of my house was pulled down by the strong wind from the helicopter. However, we thank God that no one in my household sustained injuries.
What happened was unfortunate. The helicopter's strong wind wreaked havoc on us, but we realized it was security plane. Another resident, Zulehad Muhammad, said the incident left her frightened and restless.
The incident left us frightened and restless. Up until now, I have not been at peace because of the fear and confusion it caused. The helicopter's wing destroyed our property, so we are appealing to the government to help us.
The village head of KKB East, Salisu Muhammad Chawe, described the incident as disturbing, but explained that inquiries revealed the helicopter was on a security mission. What happened was an unfortunate incident, but the coming of the helicopter is connected to effort to tackle insecurity that has been disturbing our community, especially at night or whenever there is a threat. We are often forced to patrol at night, but the presence of the helicopter shows that the government is aware of our situation here.
I
contacted security operatives during the incident and was informed that the aircraft was on an official assignment to monitor insecurity in the area, and senior security officers later visited the community to inspect the damage, apologized to residents, and assured those affected of possible assistance. Community leaders confirmed that a Nigerian Air Force team later visited the area, but declined to speak to journalists and instead held discussions only with local leaders before leaving. KKB community has suffered repeated attacks by kidnappers in the past, making residents uneasy about the latest development. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Now, after staff of the Ministry of Women Affairs staged a protest over welfare and neglect, Minister Iman Suleiman Ibrahim had moved to ease tensions. At a town hall meeting on September 12 in Abuja, she reassured workers that better days lie ahead. Tante Azal reports.
The protest on September 10th by ministry staff brought long-standing grievances to the fore, from poor working conditions and lack of equipment to neglect of welfare and little access to the minister since she assumed office. Union leader Comrade Anne Ojobele acknowledged the minister's effort but insisted the core issues must be addressed.
Utility vehicles should be made available for staff to use for official assignments, meetings outside office, instead of tasking staff to use their money for transport. It is unacceptable.
Leaders within the ministry, represented by Mrs. Bumi Obaje, appealed for targeted support, lamenting hardship after the loss of their spouses. A staff representative for persons with disabilities also decried exclusion from programs, noting only 1 of 14 had ever been considered for training.
Some major programs that happen in the ministry, like Council of Human Affairs, we hardly carried along. I know in the department, that the mother department, PRS, I have 2 of my staff there. Sometimes they do carry them, but outside that department, we don't go. And the truth is, we are not dullards. We can work. We are smart. We are intelligent. Some of us are master holders.
Responding, Minister Suleiman Ibrahim admitted some complaints were new to her, but pledged to listen and act.
We're all here because we want the best for ourselves, we want the best for the country, we want the best for the ministry, and we want to understand ourselves better. Because we love what we do for government and we want to do it better. So we want to address any grey area. When I saw what happened, that's why I said we need to sit and interrogate and see where are we going wrong, where are we going right. We're not here for any blame game.
Permanent Secretary Dr. Mariam Keshinro called for discipline and loyalty from workers, while Director of Child Development Ali Andrew Madugu commended the minister for personally funding several projects despite challenges.
We all know what is going on. We are one of the enviable ministries, because in spite of the lack of funds or debt of funds, we've been able to do so much. And I can tell you, I stand here to say, I have not funded one of the programs that were held in the ministry.
With grievances aired and assurances given, staff now look to see whether promises of inclusion, welfare and reforms will translate into action. Tante Azal, Trust TV, Abuja.
Now, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau has indicted an Air Peace pilot and co-pilot for operating under the influence of hard drugs and alcohol, according to a preliminary report signed by the Bureau's Director of Public Affairs and Family Assistance, Mrs. Bimbo Olawumi Oladeji. Toxicology tests confirmed the crew tested positive after the aircraft they flew was involved in a runway excursion at the Port Harcourt International Airport on July 13, 2025. The incident, which happened on a Sunday morning, saw the aircraft veer off the runway shortly after landing, raising serious concerns about flight safety and crew conduct. Now, across major cities in Nigeria, residential buildings are increasingly being converted into commercial spaces, including schools, offices, and shopping outlets. In Abuja, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has issued a directive revoking the allocation of residential houses converted for commercial use in Abuja. The situation is gradually becoming a source of concern as other major cities are reportedly involved. Victoria Tokolo reports from Lagos. In Nigeria's major cities such as Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and beyond. The conversion of residential buildings into commercial spaces has become a growing trend. The surge in demand for offices, schools, shops and hospitals within residential neighborhoods has fueled this practice. But experts warn that the consequences include structural defects, building collapse, noise pollution, overcrowding and rising rent costs. To address the issue, the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, has directed property owners to revert such buildings to their original residential use. He warned that by November 1st, any property still in violation will be revoked. In Lagos, residents who spoke to Trust TV expressed support for the government's decision, describing it as a step in the right direction to safeguard lives and promote public safety.
No, government should look into it properly. They should take action in making some inquiries in a way of investigation to find out those who are converting old buildings to other uses without knowing the actual foundation, how well the foundation was, or the kind of soil that they are erecting those new buildings in renovation.
To be a government-defined policy in areas that are residential and the areas that are commercial is the issue of convenience. It's the issue of convenience purely, because it is not ideal that where people are living, you are also using the same place as a commercial purpose. But in terms of any other thing, it borders on government policy. It borders on government policy. It borders on government policy. Just for instance, a place where you are using for school, why will people be living under the building and at the same time you are using the place for building? Look, there are a lot of things you put into consideration. You put the issue of security. You put the issue of environmental safety. Depending on the nature of use, the place is being put for commercial purposes.
What we call physical planning. Do you understand? When you buy a land or when somebody sells a land, it is expected you conduct due diligence. And if you want to renovate the property, it is left for you to invite the town planning people to come and test the soil of the land. If you want to do story building, an expert is needed, such as engineer, surveyor. It is the surveyor that will test the quantity of the land. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that's where an expert comes in. You bring in people from town planning. They will look at the soil. If it's good for whatever purposes they want to use it for, then they will continue with it.
In my own opinion, I think it's right for the government to return those houses back, because people have lack of houses now for rentage. So it's even to make it cheaper when they return back when everybody return back, so they're able to live comfortable, and all these landlords will reduce their rent rates.
This directive also ties back to the federal government's 2005 monetization policy, which sold government houses to individuals to reduce maintenance costs. Officials emphasized that the enforcement will not be limited to Abuja and Lagos alone, but will extend to all urban centers across the country. Now, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, has thrown its weight behind Peter Obi's proposal for a single presidential term, saying the idea aligns with the party's broader vision of reshaping governance in Nigeria. Addressing journalists in Abuja on Friday, the party's National Publicity Secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi, said the ADC welcomes all political gladiators who are genuinely interested in seeking the highest office in the land under a system that prioritizes service over self-perpetuation. He stressed that the party's central goal is to offer Nigerians something better than the recycling of old models that have failed to address insecurity, poverty, and unemployment, adding that a single-term presidency would reduce political distractions and promote a culture of accountability.
The question about whether Excellency Peter Obi said he's going to spend only 4 years if given the opportunity, he must know why he's saying so. He must be confident in his ability to deliver is a lifelong ambition for him. So he must have done his work and declare that within 4 years I can. And you see, when the framers of our constitution say 8 years, they didn't say 8 years concurrent. It means that you can do 4 years and take a break and give yourself opportunity to evaluate what you have done and come back in the future. But if what you are doing is to continue to drag the party back, to continue to create a condition that Nigerians would think that we are permanently in crisis, don't forget this was the same thing that was done to PDP. This was the same thing that was done to Labour Party. This was the same thing that was done to SDP. And the same agents that were driving this, the same forces that were driving this, that are also driving these particular individuals.
Now moving on to more stories. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who represents Kogi Central, has warned that she will take legal action against the clerk of the National Assembly, Kamaruddin Ogunlana, if she is not allowed to resume her legislative duties by Monday, September 15, 2025. The warning was contained in a letter dated September 10 and signed by her lawyer, Michael Numa. Numa said the clerk's alleged refusal to obey an existing court judgment was against the law and the Code of Conduct for Public Officers. He added that the proposed legal steps could include contempt charges, disciplinary action, and holding the CNA responsible for instigating a breach of the peace. This development follows an earlier letter from the acting clerk to the National Assembly, Yaya Danzaria, which informed Akpoti-Uduaghan that she could not resume because the matter of her suspension was still before the court. An agricultural expert has urged the Nigerian government to adopt policies that will promote Bambara beans as a viable commodity for both local consumption and export. He made the call in Bauchi while speaking to Trust TV on the need to tap into the crop's value chain for economic prosperity. Trust TV Adamu Imam reports.
The expert Lowell Masar of Bauchi State Agricultural Development Program highlighted the potentials of Bambara beans, noting that the crop helps rejuvenate soil nutrients while also offering other agricultural benefits.
Bambara nut is one of the crops we produce, particularly in Bauchi State, in the southern part of Bauchi State. Bambara nut is one of the class of the crops, we call them leguminous crops. It is very, very highly nutritious, and it can be of economical value to individual and even the nation at large. Okay, now one of the benefits that you can derive from farming Bambara nut is that one of them is it has a high economic value when you sell it. And also, it is very useful in replenishing the nutrient loss in the soil, especially when the loss is degraded. When you plant Bambara nut, the same family with others like cowpea, groundnut, and beans. That is the soya beans also, because it has a particular structure in the root system, which we call root nodules.
He emphasized that Bambara beans can drive economic sustainability and provide employment opportunities for Nigeria's teeming youth population.
It is highly nutritious. It is containing a lot of vital proteins, which is helpful in making body to grow. We are calling on the policymakers to look at the way of improving it by increasing the training of the essential agents. That is one, to make improvement in the seed production of the Bambara nut, and as well make sure that there are some ways that can be produced to make let me put it in this way, increase its value chain.
Meanwhile, farmers in Bauchi and Al-Kaleri local government areas share their experiences, describing Bambara beans as a top choice for profitable farming. A trip to Al-Kaleri reveals that residents are also catching in on the crop's growing popularity. Along the Bauchi-Gombe Road, young women were seen hawking Bambara beans to passengers and commuters. I can even substitute and keep Bambara beans as our staple food in case my food reserve runs out. It is very reliable and easy to prepare, especially when used for making moi moi. We don't have to depend on anyone when Bambara beans are close at hand. We have different types of soil here in Alkaleri that are well suited for Bambara cultivation. That is why Alkaleri has a natural advantage when it comes to growing Bambara nuts. Honestly, Bambara beans helps a lot in treating wounds and other ailments. Experts say it also reduces blood pressure and has many medicinal properties. We usually sold it at 350 naira per measure, though the price sometimes changes. But right now, a big tin sells for 800 naira, while the smaller one goes for 400 naira. The expert further stressed that the value chain of Bambara beans cannot be overemphasized, urging government and stakeholders to invest heavily in its production as part of efforts to tackle food insecurity. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And now we move to Kaduna State, where Governor Obasani on Thursday performed the groundbreaking for the reconstruction of the Jaba Kwai Town Hall Road in Jaba local government area of Kaduna State. At the event, the governor described the project as a lifeline that would boost rural communities as well as accelerate economic development of the area. The report.
Governor Obasani receiving warm reception by the people of Jaba local government area of Kaduna State. The groundbreaking ceremony of Kwai Township Road is one of the efforts of Kaduna State government under the leadership of Governor Obasani to improve the lives of rural communities. The governor described the project as a lifetime that will connect farmers to markets, children to schools, and patients to hospitals.
Today, we break the ground for the construction of the Jaba Kwai Road, a major arterial road that links our communities in southern Kaduna with Abuja and beyond. This road is not just asphalt and gravel. It is a lifeline. It is a highway of hope. And for emphasis, this very important road is very critical because it links General Hospital Road, Sabonberry Road, Audituro Road, Magawa Road, and Dr. Sani Road.
He noted that the local government have not witnessed such an intervention in over 15 years, stressing that the project symbolizes his administration's commitment to fairness, equity, and rural transformation.
Today's event is a concrete demonstration of fulfillment of that pledge. My administration is deliberately investing in roads because we know that good roads are the foundation of robust economic life. Roads connect farmers to markets, children to classrooms, and patients to hospitals. They open opportunities, they reduce poverty, and they power prosperity.
Other notable sons and daughters of Jaba local government commended the administration of Obasani for the giant stride aimed at improving the livelihood of the common man in the area.
Your presence here in person have not only made the people of Jaba local government to write your name in their hearts. From when you became governor in May 2023, Your Excellency, when you appointed me as the Senior Special Assistant on Social Investment Programs, Your Excellency, Jaba local government was below 1,700 on the social register in Kaduna State. Today, Your Excellency, because of your style of leadership, your love for the vulnerable, underserved, and people in the rural areas, I want to make this known to you that Jaba local government is registered household 20,694 on the social investment register when you signed the executive order into law on the 25th of July 2023.
Your Excellency, the people of Jaba are grateful for having you today on this very occasion. For over, I can say more than 15 years running, we have never seen a project like this in Jaba land. Your Excellency, I can stand boldly to declare to you, Jaba is for Obasani.
After the event, the governor inspected the ongoing construction of the 22.8-kilometer asphalt road from Wadauchi through Madakia to Kafanchan, linking Zangon Kataf and Jama'a local government areas. He expressed satisfaction with the progress made and urged the contractors to ensure timely completion for the benefit of the surrounding communities and Kaduna State at large.
Now, popular Nigerian chef and Guinness World Record holder Hilda Bassi has embarked on a fresh challenge, this time to set a new record for the world's largest pot of jollof rice. Let's take a look.
The culinary event, which kicked off on Friday in Lagos, has drawn significant public attention, with food enthusiasts, fans and supporters gathered to witness history in the making. The attempt is being staged under the supervision of officials from Guinness World Records, who are on ground to ensure that all guidelines are strictly followed.
The largest pot of Asu jollof right here in our midst. Ladies and gentlemen, this is history.
The challenge involves preparing a single massive pot of jollof rice. According to Bassi, she plans to use about 250 bags of rice to achieve the feat. Hilda Bassi, who rose to international fame after her 2023 Guinness World Record feat for the longest cooking marathon, expressed optimism about this new endeavor. She said that beyond chasing the record, the event also aims to showcase Nigerian food culture on the global stage.
Now I'm doing 4,000 kilograms of raw rice, and that is 200 bags of 20 kg basmati rice, and that is supposed to give us approximately, with the expansion ratio for the rice, about 15,000 kilograms of rice. By the time, give or take 14 to 15,000, we might stretch into 16,000 kilograms of rice, because we're making Asun jollof rice, and there's going to be goat meat infused in the rice as well.
Organizers say the project is supported by a team of professional chefs, volunteers, and technical staff to ensure safety, efficiency, and proper documentation of the process. Ingredients for the jollof rice include hundreds of kilograms of rice, tomatoes, peppers, onions, and spices, all sourced from local farmers and suppliers. The atmosphere has been described as festive, with music, cultural displays, and food tasting sessions accompanying the cooking. If successful, Hilda Bassi will once again etch her name in the Guinness World Records.
Wow. Amazing attempt there, I must say. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. More news stories when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Now to business. Nigerians' foreign trade in the second quarter of 2025 extended its recovery streak, posting a trade surplus of 7.46 trillion naira, the strongest in nearly 3 years, as exports rose sharply while imports cooled slightly. Figures from the National Bureau of Statistics released this week show that total trade stood at 38.03 trillion naira in the second quarter of the year, marking a 20% increase from a year earlier and a 5.6% rise from the previous quarter. Exports accounted for 22.75 trillion naira, up 10.5% quarter on quarter, while imports slipped 0.9% to 15.29 trillion naira. Crude oil remained Nigerians' mainstay, with shipments valued at 11.97 trillion naira and accounting for over half of total exports. Yet, crude earnings fell more than 1 trillion naira compared to quarter one. Now, manufactured goods delivered one of the biggest returns, with exports surging 173% from the first quarter to 803.8 billion naira. Agricultural exports, however, slowed from the record highs of its first quarter performance, falling to 1.26 trillion naira. Now, cashew nuts and cocoa beans dominated, with large consignments heading to Vietnam, India, and the Netherlands. Now, away from Nigeria, the government of Burkina Faso has announced the removal of visa fees for all African nationals as a step to strengthen pan-African solidarity and encourage the free movement of people and goods. The Minister of Security, Mahamadou Sana, disclosed the policy shift on Thursday after a cabinet meeting presided over by the country's military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore. He, however, clarified that travelers would still be required to submit an online application for approval before entry. Citizens of West African countries already travel to Burkina Faso without visas, but the move comes amid uncertainty over the country's status in the economic community of West African states. Along with Mali and Niger, Burkina Faso withdrew from the bloc earlier this year, raising concerns about future travel arrangements within the region. The Sahelian nation now joins Ghana, Rwanda, and Kenya in adopting policies that make travel easier for Africans in line with the African Union's push for greater integration across the continent. And now in sports, let's join Adeni Ajeshafe.
Bronze medalist in the discus throw event at the Commonwealth Games, Obiageri Amechi, will open Nigeria's campaign for a return to the podium when the 28th World Athletics Championship flag off in Tokyo, Japan. The reigning African Games champion has been drawn in the first of two qualifying groups and will compete ahead of reigning Commonwealth Games champion Chioma Onyekwere Leon. Ese Brume and Priscilla Ochonogo will complete the roster for long jump on the first day of action. Ochonogo, reigning African Under-20 champion and Paris Olympics finalist, will begin the battle to become the third long jumper to make it to the podium after Blessing Okagbare and Ese Brume. Brume will compete in the second qualifying group and should find herself in a fourth straight final if she can repeat her 6.79 personal season's best. Pre-championship medal hopes Tobi Amuson and Ezekiel Nathaniel will not be in action until day 2 and day 3 of the championship respectively. Tobi Amuson will run on day 2 Sunday, while Nathaniel Ezekiel will run next day on Monday. Nigeria returned without a medal 2 years ago in Budapest, Hungary, after winning gold and silver a year earlier in Oregon. Meanwhile, 100-meter hurdles world record holder Tobi Amuson has lament on the inferior kits provided by Athletics Federation of Nigeria for Team Nigeria ahead of World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan. In a video posted on Snapchat, Amuson, one of Nigeria's biggest medal hopes, expressed her disappointment and the embarrassing treatment Nigerian athletes continue to face. And in football, Nigeria's under-20 national football team, the Flying Eagles, will depart for Chile on Sunday as preparations intensify for 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Europe-based players named in the final roster will join the delegation en route to South America. The Flying Eagles are aiming to improve on their performance at the 2023 edition in Argentina, where they reached the quarterfinals. The 7-time African champions will begin their campaign against Norway before facing Saudi Arabia and Colombia in the remaining group matches. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajichafe.
With that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Do well to follow us on all of our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream to stay informed. I'm Mimuna Bagudu. Have a great weekend and good night.